It's only been a week and I got slammed with news items over the last week. In fact, I swear it happened right as soon as I disconnected last week that everything just started pouring in. In fact, you're going to want more information about how ebook pre-orders on KDP now show a sample. Amazon goes deeper into AI. Is search dead? Spotify Audiobooks is open to indie author submissions now. AI copyright cases condensed more recently. There's a $5 billion class action lawsuit over Apple ebook listings and other relevant news for events and deals and self-publishing news for April the 14th of 2025. Let's go ahead and transition on into my sponsor spot real quick, folks. You know that this is the place that I find legitimate reviews and awards is through Book Award Pro. You want more details about why I gush so much about them, 43 book awards, 4 reviews more recently. You can be able to find out details at my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/bookawardpro. All right, let's transition over to the very top news items because the very first 4 items is going to be about Amazon. Let's lead with the very exciting news here. Ebook pre-orders will soon show a reading sample on Amazon. Let me read it to you verbatim. Similar to the Read Sample feature that displays for books today, Amazon will test offering the same for pre-orders. Someone didn't proof that. Starting the week of April 14th, that is as officially as of today, it'll show a preview up to 10% from your current manuscript's content to engage potential readers. Here are some key things to know. If the manuscript has not been uploaded to KDP, no reading sample will be shown on Amazon. You are not required to upload a manuscript to maintain your existing pre-order until 72 hours before your release date. If you've uploaded a final manuscript, no actions needed. A sample will be generated automatically from your book. If you have a draft manuscript in KDP that doesn't represent your book, we recommend updating the file by April 11th. If you need a placeholder, you can upload a coming soon manuscript. Keep in mind, final manuscripts are due 72 hours before your release date. So this is kind of nice. This is getting it to where you have another marketing feature available on your product page when you go to launch that pre-order. So not only is it showing a countdown timer of when it's going to release, but you can now get it to where you can entice people. Now, I've said this time and again that anytime I've run pre-orders, I always upload a final manuscript because I've heard so many nightmare stories where people have done something short of their final manuscript and then it gets distributed because for whatever reason something happens behind the scenes and they didn't replace it with your final manuscript, or you forgot to put the final manuscript in there. Either way, it kind of gets ugly. So it's kind of nice to see that they're making this available, but they have a coming soon manuscript. I don't have any more context beyond that, but if you go ahead and click the link inside the show notes, chances are very likely you can probably trace that little rabbit trail and find it eventually, I'm sure, or you can reach out to support through contact us inside your KDP dashboard. Now let's go ahead and transition over to the bigger hot topic here. And that is actually coming around about AI. Good friend of mine and also a former guest on the main channel, Vincent B. Davis II, actually started blowing up my text last week. It's in a good way, by the way. I always recommend Vincent, texting me. But he had shared how, oh goodness, the Amazon algorithm has changed and we didn't even know it. In fact, actually there was a piece where Jane Friedman of The Bottom Line, formerly of The Hot Sheet, had interviewed an insider, an expert, and here is what she said specifically inside this interview. All right, let's go ahead and transition over. Last question has to do with Amazon and AI. Authors and publishers alike have always been anxious about what Amazon might do next to affect discoverability. How do you think Amazon's use of AI might affect authors and publishers? What might we need to prepare for? The person says, oh, I love this question. So the biggest thing I was always scared of when AI came out and I had my first oh crap moments with it was the search experience. We've been in a world for 25 years where search is driven by specific factors and every company invested in SEO. That era is over. Okay, this is kind of scary. That era is over. This is something I've talked about countless times. I have an entire book devoted to it called Amazon Keywords for Books. So now they're kind of saying, the thing that I would push every publisher and author on Amazon is this is going to change very significantly over the next couple of years. Amazon's currently still using the A9 search algorithm, which is natural language processing and keyword based. And all of the metadata work that every publisher has spent the last 10 years doing has been geared towards that search algorithm. And the A10 algorithm that is coming now online now is going to completely change the way the books are found. For a publisher like Ulysses, we have now to go back through 1,500 different titles and optimize for a new AI-driven world that we don't yet understand and is constantly changing. You will notice if you go onto Amazon's website or inside their app, there is a new AI feature called Rufus. Now, don't be confused with the Rufus from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Fantastic movie, by the way. Fight me over it if you want. But Rufus is their AI, and it's able to answer any of those things. So to me, I feel almost like people are going to probably start to gravitate away from the search engines, from the search window, and go right over into Rufus. So this is going to change the game. How will it change it? Well, we could speculate, but at this point, we really don't know too much. But let's dive a little deeper here, because there's other tools as well for us to consider, because Amazon launches a generative AI to help sellers write product descriptions. New AI capabilities make it easier for sellers to write engaging, effective product listings and help shoppers find what they are looking for. So you're going to find that now they're starting to equip their sellers and their vendors with AI description writing tools. Will we start to see this in KDP? Chances are super likely, but I kind of approached it with a little bit of reluctance because, well, as you will find out in a couple of the other pieces, such as Amazon announces Rufus, which talks a little bit more about the AI-powered conversational shopping experience that it provides. Well, one of the biggest issues that is brought up of all these things is what's going to happen to the search engine capabilities. Like, are we going to see a drastic drop in sales? Is this going to level the playing field for everybody? Do we all just start from square one, ground zero, if you will? Remains to be seen. I can only speculate. I'm just trying to share this news with you as soon as humanly possible. For many people, about a year ago, when KDP had announced that they were really addressing artificial intelligence and publishing through the platform, where they want you to fully disclose. A lot of people had speculated that, well, Amazon doesn't like AI. Amazon doesn't want you to publish AI books. But now it's starting to show that, no, Amazon's very pro AI. In fact, you'll even see it in their reviews. There's a new summary tool that goes at the very top of every one of the reviews pages, and it will summarize all the reviews for that based on, of course, a number of reviews. So if you only have 2 or 3 reviews, I don't know that there's going to be a summary for it, and I don't know when they put that summary on there, if you have to have 10 reviews or 15 reviews, or maybe it's just a single review. But either way, there is that AI that's integrated in there. So they're very much pro AI, but this has opened up a whole bevy of questions of where are we going now? Search engine optimization, if it's dead, how do we leverage AI? And on top of that, they also had brought up within this interview that Jane Friedman had with the expert, as well as the other news pieces that I've shared in the show notes, is that they also want to make sure that it is human generated content. So descriptions that have human DNA on them, if you will, a way that you can kind of tell that it's AI. So they're probably looking out for just these stilted AI descriptions and maybe suppressing that, or maybe just discarding it. I don't know. There's so many things we can speculate on. So don't take anything I've said about AI as gospel, because all we can do is speculate and theorize on the direction they're going. And just when you thought, oh, that's all the AI tools that Amazon's offering. Oh, no. Amazon Kindle's new feature uses AI to generate recaps for books in a series. What? So essentially, all of us who've watched any type of a show on TV or maybe online, some capacity, and if it's a serialized show of some sort, there will typically be a recap at the very beginning. That's how the AI works for generating recaps of the books in a series. So it gets it where it catches people up to speed. So if it's a fiction series, they buy book 6, they'll be able to get a recap on all the books prior. Hopefully, what that will do is encourage more readers to look at that backlog, because they're going to go, oh, okay, I'm caught up here. Let me go ahead and read book 6 since I'm caught up, and maybe I'll come back and hit these other books inside the series later on. So all that to say, this is Amazon is very pro AI, folks. But what does this leave our future? What's that position going to be? I don't know. but we can only guess here. Join me inside the Discord community so we can talk a little bit more about this. Now, this is a very funny one because last week somebody commented on my on my podcast about audiobooks and Spotify audiobooks publishing. And I'm like, whoa, hang on a second. Spotify publishing audiobooks. Okay, that's a TradPub model, so I don't know anything about it. I retract that because apparently I did not get the memo. Thank you to that viewer, by the way, for letting me know about this. Indie authors can now submit their books to Spotify Audiobooks Publishing. Let me go ahead and read it to you verbatim. Submit your short form stories to Spotify Audiobooks, our in-house audiobook publisher, for publication consideration. Here's what we're looking for: a novelette of approximately 10,000 to 20,000 words written specifically for audio. A story that sounds great read out loud, featuring sharp characters, atmospheric settings, and engaging dialogue that leaves the listener feeling something and wanting more. Focus on 3 genres: romance, mystery thriller, or sci-fi fantasy. Cross-genre appeal encouraged, such as romantasy, dark romance thriller, mystery sci-fi, or psychological thriller. Note, please do not submit erotica or children's content. If Spotify makes an offer for your audiobook rights and you accept, Spotify will publish the audiobook. Spotify will pay in advance and royalties and manage all aspects of the production process. You're welcome to promote, market, and distribute the work in other formats and platforms. So this is kind of cool. And by the way, just a little bit of a correction here. Spotify, Ingram Spark is 1 word. It's not 2 words. And good job in keeping it singular because it's not Ingram Spark, for the love of all things sacred. So there's a full frequently asked questions on this page here. Go ahead and visit the link inside the show notes. This is kind of neat in that they're opening up something that a lot of indie authors wouldn't normally be able to get. So sure, we can go through Find Away Voices by Spotify, but we're going to have to cover all those production costs. It sounds to me like here they're like, hey, we'll take care of all of it for you. Now, what is the royalty going to be on that? They're not fully disclosing it. I went through all the FAQs and there was no like, hey, you're going to get 40% of each sale or anything like that. No, it seems like they're solely relying on the advances and royalties. What is that royalties? I don't know. If it's anything like any other of the TradPub royalties, it's probably going to be pretty modest. Moving a little further forward, this comes from a news piece by, of course, again, Jane Friedman from The Bottom Line. Copyright cases against OpenAI and Microsoft consolidated in New York court. In a significant development and maybe an inevitable one, given the similarities of the cases, the 12 copyright infringement cases against OpenAI and Microsoft, some filed in California, some in New York, have been consolidated in New York. A single judge will now coordinate discovery, streamline pretrial proceedings, and eliminate inconsistent rulings. This includes the high-profile suits brought by the Authors Guild, the New York Times, and more. Collectively, these cases deal with the AI training performed on all types of work from newspaper journalism to novels. Some of these cases are class action and include any writers whose work was used for AI training without permission or licensing. So there are a lot of lawsuits that have now just been condensed down into one thing. I had someone had mentioned inside Discord like they were pretty surprised that I didn't bring up anything about the OpenAI and Microsoft lawsuits. The good reason is nothing's really changed much. Will we see this play out eventually? Sure, but it's involving millions upon millions of dollars. A class action lawsuit isn't something that happens overnight. And there's nothing I can really add to this that would be of any additional value. What we have to do is sit back, see how this plays out. I'm sure both of these companies are going to be able to afford it, and they're going to be able to make the long term because they've made billions upon billions of dollars on their AI models that, sadly, they trained on some stuff that they weren't supposed to train on. And I'm sure hindsight's always 20/20, and those people that were actually put together these large language models probably would love to have gone back and not trained their stuff on that stuff, but here we are. That stuff on the stuff. There you go. Alrighty, moving a little further forward, a $5 billion class action lawsuit was filed over Apple's eBook licensing, and they feel it's based on false premises. All right, let me give you the TLDR on this one. Not too long ago, it was brought to light that, well, Amazon Kindle was doing away with the ability to back up your books, and that's when people discovered that when you buy an ebook on Amazon, you're not buying the actual ebook. You're buying a license to get access to that ebook. And that license can be revoked any point that that platform wishes to. Apple is the same way. Now, there are so many people that have been shocked and appalled, like, oh my gosh, I've just been paying for ebook licensing this whole time, or I've been selling ebook licensing this whole time and they haven't been able to get it. Yeah, there are few exceptions to the rule. There are some platforms that will give the ebook, or in instances where you're doing direct sales, you're giving the full ebook. That's it. But on platforms like Apple, well, it's gotten a little bit out of hand because there actually were 2 complainants, and they filed a lawsuit for $5 billion in damages because of alleged false advertising over Apple Books' lack of the understanding that digital books are licensed and not owned. $5 billion. Now, you ready for this? They spent a total of $24.98, I think it is, $24.98 to file this lawsuit. And their thought process is, well, they screwed over all these other readers. We're going to go ahead and make this a class action lawsuit. What is going on? Do you understand that if you're on the Apple platform, you have signed their terms and conditions, and just because you didn't slow down and read those things does not mean that company should be held liable for something like that. Do I agree with this ebook licensing feature? No, I don't. I really think that anytime someone buys an ebook, it's theirs. Buy. That's it. Have it. Almost like an NFT. It's yours forever until you otherwise sell it to somebody else, which, by the way, that would be brilliant if you can be able to do something like that. But, oh, come on. What's the deal with these frivolous lawsuits? I mean, that's just my opinion. If you have, disagree, I'm okay with that. Hey, the fine folks over at ProWritingAid, they are not done rolling out new features. They just did manuscript analysis, and now they've launched a new tool called Beta Reader. Get personalized feedback on your story, characters, and areas for improvement with ProWritingAid's chapter critique for beta reading. This is kind of cool. Get a comprehensive chapter evaluation in seconds. Finding a critique partner isn't easy. Our chapter critique offers instant developmental feedback on your chapter, tailored feedback on your narrative, actionable tips to improve your story. You're always on writing partner. And all you have to do is get more details about that. And ProWritingAid has that available to you. You can find out more details. Visit dalelinks.com/beta reader. And the fine folks over at Spoken just rolled out personal voice and emotional cueing. Now, if you're not familiar with Spoken just yet, they're a digital narration platform that is for authors that has a 50-50% split. There's no exclusivity required on there. And all you have to do is just bring your stuff on in there. And they keep adding more and more really cool features. But this one right here, personal voice. So let's say, for instance, you want it to be your voice narrating your book. All you would have to do is provide them with the voice and the approval to do that. And also, let's say you're hearing a passage in your book and it does not have the inflection that you want it to be. They now have the emotional cueing that you can go through and tell it exactly how you want it to be emotionally delivered. So that way, it's not just this stilted digital narration that a lot of people are just like, oh gosh, get out of here. Sometimes I hear some of the digital narration, like on some videos on YouTube, and I'm like, pass, out, get better. Spoken, they're making things better. They're really changing up this business. All right, I'm going to give you guys a shout out here. Actually, it's not even a shout out. I'm going to give you a recommendation to take a look at it. It's not my endorsement. It's my way of letting you know there's a new service called ManuscriptReport.com. Recently, the founder reached out to me, shared a little bit about Manuscript Report. Let me just tell you, it's a comprehensive AI-powered solution to enhance your book's market presence and reach your target audience. What they will do is they'll take your manuscript and they can do a full marketing report. From synopsis to blurbs, from comp titles to SEO keywords, the report has 15 sections and everything you need to market your book without expensive consultants. Saves up to 30 hours of work, a total of 15 sections, and it's delivered in 15 minutes. They also have a blog series where they'll just take about 6 to 10 different professionally crafted articles from your book and give you a blog series for that. And then social media content where they're going to give you 3 types of posts, eye-catching images, and ready-to-share posts. Now, the reason why I'm not endorsing it fully just yet, because I have not had a chance to sit down and see what my manuscript report looked like. I got one put together, kind of geeked up, can't wait. But I will keep you updated on that. If you want more details, you can visit my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/manuscript report. Again, proceed with caution. Let me know if you find out anything over inside my Discord server. It would be great. Big shout out to longtime supporter and also the former voice of my podcast. He was the intro outro, Anthony Fleischman Jr. Anthony is a good friend of mine. He actually put out a free audiobook course. It's called Audiobook Creation Concepts Mini Course. Normally it's $47. Now you can pay whatever you want. And that means you can get it for free. You get over 2 hours of content, 10 lessons, and 3 bonus PDFs. Go ahead and visit the link that's inside the show notes and let Anthony know I sent you on over there. And Author Nation's coming up in November. Yay! I've probably already announced it before, but if I haven't before, I will be at Author Nation in Vegas this November speaking. I'm going to be talking about building and growing your community. I'll also be interviewing a number of authors. You might be one of them if you happen to show up. I will also be doing some MCing. So if you want to get involved with Author Nation, you want more details about Author Nation, they're actually going to be doing a webinar this coming Friday, April the 18th at 2 p.m. Central Time. It's going to be about an hour long. What to expect in the webinar. They're going to give you all the details about, they're going to unveil all their roster of industry experts, best-selling authors, and publishing professionals. They'll preview 8 specialized tracks designed to address every aspect of your author career, highlight can't-miss sessions aligned with the market influence framework, share exclusive early bird registration opportunities for webinar attendees, and answer your questions about the conference during their live Q&A. I will be there kind of hanging out. But you want more details about Author Nation if it's right for you. And by the way, there is also a digital version of that. So in the event that you're like, Dale, I'm sorry, I can't afford it, don't worry. There's a more affordable option out there for the digital access that comes after the conference, but you will get access to some of these talks, including mine, among others. And by the way, the keynote speaker this year is James Patterson. So very, very excited to get the opportunity to meet him. And I want to, of course, give a big shout out to Angela Eureka Smith. She is, of course, the owner of Space and Time magazine, and she actually allowed me a space to talk a little bit about my upcoming pivot from nonfiction into the fiction writing world, sci-fi horror to be exact. But that is inside Space and Time magazine. Is available right now over on Amazon, or you can even go look up Space and Time magazine and buy it directly from their site. One last shout out to the fine folks over at Book Award Pro. Get details about why I love Book Award Pro so much when you visit my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/bookawardpro. They are awesome. Love them. In fact, my Amazon Self-Publisher series got 8 different awards through Book Award Pro alone. That was just absolutely incredible. I'm forever thankful to them. And while I have your attention, of course, if you have any type of suggestions or recommendations for future news segments, one of the best ways to bend my ear, to get my attention, is join me over in my Discord community. That's dalelinks.com/Discord. Till later, it's been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll catch you next week. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. Special shout out to my channel members. For Self-Publishing with Dale would be much harder to fund. Contribute to the cause? Visit dalelinks.com/memberships for details. Green shout out at the end of each broadcast. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I'll see you soon.